I ended up buying a waffle maker about 10 days ago. Those waffles at the hotel in St. Catharines were so good that I've been craving waffles ever since then. Whenever I try a product that I like, I tend to get fixated on that specific product. So I looked up the waffle maker that they use in the hotel, which is an industrial waffle maker. Their business model, which is catered to commercial properties like hotels, restaurants, and the like, is to sell the waffle mix, and they loan you the waffle maker for free. I looked up other commercial waffle makers and I think they cost about $200 to $400. And then hubby and I were looking up waffle makers that you can just buy on Amazon. I really liked the flip one, the one where you pour the batter in and then you flip it upside down, and hubby would send me the link when they would go on sale, but they didn't really appeal to me that much. I had an idea of what I wanted in my mind and I just become really fixated on that sort of thing, and everything else seems like not as good. Plus, when I read the reviews on some of these waffle makers, they were pretty mixed, and at least one or two of the reviews also said the waffle maker was really big, was about the size of their espresso machine. So I was like, I don't want something big to clutter up the kitchen, especially since I don't know if I'm going to use it. So at that point, I decided once again, I'm not going to buy a waffle maker. Fast forward to about maybe like 3 weeks ago, hubby and I went to a new brunch spot near us, and I've still been craving waffles, so I ordered the waffles and they were really good. I was very satisfied, but the waffles were priced at around $18 if I'm not mistaken. And then I started thinking about, oh, maybe we can go to Dimitri's for waffles. We used to do that a lot. I tend to get that way when I enjoy eating something. I want to eat it all the time, like every single meal. So I looked up Dimitri's and I think their waffles are like $22 now. So I was like, $22 for waffles? And even at Plume for $18 plus tax and tip, that's over $20 for waffles. So I'm like, okay, let me look at these reviews again. That waffle maker was still on sale, but I couldn't get over the mixed reviews and as well the size of the waffle maker. So I was like, okay, what if I go the opposite? Instead of going like super high end, commercial, very sturdy, very industrial, what if I go like the exact opposite, buy the cheapest waffle maker I can find and see if I use it? And if I use it and it ends up breaking, I can buy another one. Maybe I can invest a little bit more next time if I do use it often. So that is what I did. I found a waffle maker for $30, and that's half the price of the one that was on sale that I was considering picking up that had the mixed reviews. So I ended up picking up this waffle maker, which is also super tiny. I can tuck it away onto a shelf or whatnot. It doesn't take up much space. I really, really love it. So we picked this up about 10 days ago and we've already used it 4 times. We've been making waffles every weekend on Saturday and Sunday. And I think I finally landed on the batter recipe that I really love. The first time I made the recipe, I decided to skip the step of separating the egg and beating the egg whites to stiff peaks. I was like, nah, it's too much work and I've never really done that before. I'm kind of worried that I won't know how to do it. So I skipped that step, and the waffles were good, but they were very dense, but still yummy with like all the toppings and such that we put on there. So the next day, which was Sunday, I was like, I'm gonna make the recipe again. This time I am going to separate the egg whites from the yolk. I beat the egg whites to stiff peaks just with my hand mixer, immersion blender with this egg beater attachment. Super easy. I don't know why I was so nervous about it. I think when you read the instructions on how to beat egg whites, there are just so many rules and so many tips, so many warnings about like, do this, do that, otherwise it's not gonna work, that I just got nervous about it. I was like, I'm not gonna be able to do it anyway, so why bother wasting the extra time? But it was super easy, and the batter was so much lighter, so much fluffier, noticeable difference. But they still weren't quite what I had in mind. So this weekend, I tweaked the recipe again. I only have olive oil oil, so that's what I've been putting in my waffle mix. I think the olive oil maybe gave it a taste and a texture that was just a little bit off. So I decided to substitute applesauce. When I used to bake a lot, I used the substitution very often and it always worked out well. So I was like, I'm going to get some unsweetened applesauce and try that. So I tried it yesterday and I tried it today. I made blueberry waffles this time and they turned out so well. So the applesauce is interesting because it changes up the texture completely. The waffle is very airy and fluffy and chewy. So it's very floppy. When you pick it up, it kind of like flops all over the place. It doesn't get crispy, but this was a really nice, soft, fluffy, chewy texture that I really enjoyed. So I'm loving my new waffle maker and it pretty much paid for itself with the very first use because hubby and I both had waffles. I can make 4 waffles, but they're not like full size. I don't want to overfill the waffle maker so that the batter runs out the side. So I tend to make them a little bit smaller. So they end up being a little bit misshapen, but it's fine because I can use all the batter for 4 waffles and hubby and I can very easily eat 2 each and not be too full, which is perfect. I am very, very happy with my purchase, and that was a big lesson learned for me that I don't have to buy the best thing, the best quality, the most sturdy thing, especially when it's something that I'm only going to be using once in a while or might be a novelty item. I can try something out that's more affordable, smaller, and not really like go all out right away.
Types of guys. So that's part of the recruitment, isn't it, a little bit?
Yeah, well, I think it makes it kind of easy for guys to settle into an area and go, man, I'd love to play with Connor in Edmonton, see what they did.
Hubby and I are trying the baklava that I made this morning. This is my first time making baklava, but I have made things with phyllo pastry before. This is an end piece, so it's like a big piece plus a little corner piece, so I'll just try the corner piece first. Very good. Okay. I am resting up right now because hubby and I signed up for a puzzle competition this afternoon. This is something different for us. I love puzzles, but hubby does not do puzzles. Ironically, he was the one who found the puzzling competition and told me about it. So of course, as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I really want to do this. So we did sign up and we're going to do a different strategy. Instead of both of us working on the puzzle at the same time, hubby is going to sort the pieces and I'm going to assemble the puzzle. These are small puzzles and it's a 2-hour event in total. There's a warm-up puzzle, which you're allotted 30 minutes to do. It's only 100 pieces, so I think that shouldn't be too difficult. And then the actual competition is for an hour and a half and there's a 300-piece puzzle. I have done a 300-piece puzzle. It was the world map one. All the puzzles I do are world maps essentially. But that one, I think, took me longer than an hour and a half. The world map puzzle that I did had a lot of blue in it because of the ocean. It was a modern map. So maybe this puzzle, if it's like a landscape or like a city scene or something like that, will be a bit easier than the map with all of the blue. That was also a very big puzzle, which I had to do on the floor with giant pieces. So I think this will be a little bit easier because it will be a tabletop puzzle, so the pieces will be smaller. I've been thinking a lot about strategy because I like to think about things like this. And when I was talking to hubby about it yesterday, he didn't take it too seriously. He didn't want to practice or anything like that. I was like, well, you know, feel the pieces, get used to the tactile sensation of moving them around the table, sliding them around. And he was like, no, I'm not going to do that. But I think what the strategy will be is that we are going to open the puzzle, of course. We're gonna put all of the pieces on the table, just kind of like pour them out gently so they don't scatter. And then we will both go through the pieces, flipping them over so they're right side up, and also separating the border pieces. Once I have enough border pieces, I'm gonna start assembling. Hubby will continue to flip over the pieces, sliding the border pieces over to me. And in the meantime, as I'm completing the border, hubby is also going to separate the pieces into color categories. So all the blues in one area, all the reds, all the greens, etc., assuming there are those colors in the puzzle. So when I'm ready for the internal pieces, I can reach over and grab the sections that I want to work on. And then the third thing that hubby's going to do once he separated all the colors, because I'm sure I'm still going to be assembling the puzzle, he's going to put like pieces together in terms of the shape, and he's also going to face them in a similar direction. So if I see a piece that I need that's a certain shape, I can quickly grab that one in that color family. It sounds maybe a little complicated as I'm explaining it, but in my mind, I think it'll work out pretty well and pretty intuitively. So it's not like we have to remember what to do. I think these steps will naturally follow. And of course, I'm going to be there, so I can say, you know, can you separate the red pieces or whatnot as I'm looking at the puzzle and assembling the puzzle. And one thing that's going to be different, usually I don't look at the image of the puzzle as I'm assembling. I like to turn the box over so the picture is hidden, because it really tickles my brain to be able to figure out where things go without referring to an image. But since we are doing a speed test, essentially, I am going to have the image there for reference purposes. I don't know if that's going to be more of a distraction, so it might actually impede my progress. Maybe I'll practice with the 100-piece puzzle, and if I find the image is really distracting, I'll still have the image up for the 300-piece, but maybe I just will try not to look at it. It's been a few days since our puzzle competition, and hubby and I had a lot of fun. It was run by Snakes and Lattes at their Wellington Market location, but the actual event itself wasn't in the food court, thank goodness, because it is so busy on the weekends. Instead, there's a separate room that's an event space, and there were tables and chairs set up there, enough for 20 teams. I did try to film a time lapse, but there's something wrong with the GoPro where it didn't actually record anything, even though it looked like it was recording. Back to the competition. Hubby and I worked really well together, even though we've never done a puzzle together. We started off with this puzzle, which is a 100-piece puzzle. It's actually a beautiful puzzle. I love the image. And these are the big pieces, so I found it quite tricky to work with. The pieces are really huge and they're like very flat. So we put this puzzle together and it took us about 10 minutes. We didn't time that one. That one was just for fun, so there was like no competition component. Because I didn't get a time lapse of us working on the puzzle together, I did film one today. I've actually put this puzzle together by myself twice since the competition, and at the competition we also put it together twice because we did it once at the beginning and then we did it again after the actual competition because I wanted to try recording it with the GoPro, and again it didn't work. When I did this puzzle today, it took me 12 minutes on my own, and that's having done it before, so it was definitely helpful to have hubby there. On to the actual competition itself. We got another puzzle that I really liked, but as you can see there is a lot of green, and it turns out it's actually not a square image, even though the box is square. The actual puzzle itself is like this. So this puzzle I found very difficult. It says it's supposed to take 60 minutes and it took us 53 minutes and 24 seconds to do this puzzle. We were the 7th team to finish out of 20 teams. The first team finished really quickly. I think their time was 36 or 37 minutes. I did put this puzzle together 2 times on my own since the competition. The first time I timed it was last night. It was a bit dark and we were watching YouTube videos and I had to keep like pausing the timer. So I don't know how accurate that was in terms of a speed test, but it took me around, I think it was like an hour and 2 minutes. I was trying to go fast and I was already over the 60-minute mark, so I'm thinking I'm like a very average puzzler, maybe even a bit slower than average when I'm trying to be fast, which is kind of odd. I always thought I was pretty decent at puzzling, but maybe not. And then today I timed myself again doing this puzzle. I just used my watch this time and I was a lot faster today. It took me 52 minutes, but at this point I've done the puzzle 3 times already, so that's probably why I was a little bit faster. This event got me back into puzzling. If you've been watching my vlogs this year, you'll know that at the beginning of the year, I did a 5,000 piece puzzle. It took me a month and I was so puzzled out after that. I didn't want to look at a puzzle or touch a puzzle. In fact, I've been trying to sell my puzzles. I thought I was like pretty over puzzling. I had no desire to do any puzzles, but then after this event, I've been doing puzzles pretty much every day, or at least wanting to do puzzles every day. I've also been watching YouTube videos on puzzling. I found this channel called Karen Puzzles and it is just so much fun. I really love it. And I bought a few new puzzles, which I will show you in another video. So I'm selling some puzzles, but I also bought new ones. And the reason for this is that I have rediscovered small puzzles and how much fun they are. I don't really have small puzzles. I have those giant ones that take days upon days upon days. And I'm just finding these smaller puzzles that I can complete in like an hour or two so much fun. I also like that they fit on a tabletop because the puzzles that I've been doing, I've been needing to clear off floor space for them because they are so big and I don't really want to do that anymore. I just want to do small puzzles. I want to do fun puzzles. I don't want anything too big or too challenging, which is why I have purchased some additional puzzles. I bought a lot of 500 piece puzzles. I think my sweet spot before I got fixated on these massive puzzles was around 1,000 pieces. But as I'm looking into speed puzzling, I'm seeing that the individual competitions are all done with 500 piece puzzles. So I think from here on out, I'm just going to do 1,000 pieces or fewer, something that might take an evening or two at a relaxed pace. I am letting go of that 9,000 piece puzzle that has been on my bucket list since I was in my 20s. This is a complete 180 from the beginning of this year when it was still on my bucket list and I was adamant I was going to do it in this lifetime. But the puzzle burnout from the 5,000 piece taught me a big lesson and I am letting that go. I've been talking about speed puzzling and you might be curious, am I wanting to get into speed puzzling? And that is a pretty definite no. I find it really stressful and as you can see, I'm like not that fast. I'm sure I could train for it, but do I want to train for it or do I just want to keep puzzling like a fun activity that's just for me? I think it's more the latter, but I am curious about my time. So I did purchase some puzzles that I've seen in competitions or puzzles that I've seen on Karen Puzzles' channel, and she times pretty much all of the puzzles that she shows on her channel. So at least I have a rough benchmark as to how much slower I am versus competitive puzzlers. I think that'll just be like an interesting piece of information for me, but I'm really not that competitive anymore. Even though I like to strategize and I like to think of ways where I can do my best in a competition, if I am in a competition, I don't feel like I need to win or to even like place. I was very happy with our 7th place finish. I think I just aim for like 50th percentile, better than 50th percentile, and I'm like super happy. So I don't know what that says about my drive for success. Maybe I've just like mellowed out as I've gotten older. I used to really want to win stuff and I would want to improve and want to get better, but now I just kind of want to relax and have fun, and I think it's just like a different stage in my life. This was not the vlog that I was planning to record, so I will save the rest for another day. It was just a happy accident that hubby found this competition on the Saturday before the Sunday competition, and it completely changed the trajectory of this vlog. I'll be back very soon with the other things that I wanted to talk about or that I had planned to talk about in this vlog. I hope you're all doing well and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!